So a quick review of the Rodecaster Pro. Rodecaster Pro, right there. Nice. Yeah, not such a fan, to be honest. I think it's got some cool features, but there's a couple of things which really bug me that I didn't know about before I bought it. And quite frankly, if I knew about those beforehand, I would not have bought it, because it is an $800 device. I got it on special for $709 Australian. And quite frankly, I could have spent that money on something else, like a Scarlett 8920 or something, and then I would have had a bit more benefit from that. So anyway, my first con, let's do some pros and cons. And so the first con is that it's got this feature of ducking, audio ducking. Ducking is turning down the volume of one channel when signal occurs on another channel. So for example, if channel 3 here is somebody speaking, channel 4 will be brought down in volume slightly to make way for channel 3 speaker. That's pretty much it. It's a very cool function, but on this, no, do not like it on here. Up here, if I go to settings, I will quickly show you. Audio processing. Yeah, ducking is turned off. So the one right there is actually off. That's my first podcast I did with this. It records to the micro SD card, put it into Pro Tools, and there's several times where someone was speaking and I turned away and coughed lightly. The microphone here picked it up, and then it actually ducked the volume on the person who was speaking. So in my Pro Tools session, now it's very clear that the volume goes nyeh, nyeh. That's annoying, and if I knew about it ahead of time, I wouldn't have bought this damn thing. Another thing is, channel 1 is automatically reserved as the host of a podcast. So if all this ducking happens from channel 1, so I was plugged into channel 1 and the other person speaking was plugged into channel 2, and the person in channel 2 was the one kind of hosting it and doing all the main talking. I was just just there for chatting, basically, almost like a guest. And so I did not realize that this channel is internally reserved as a host. So perhaps that's why it was doing the ducking feature. Not really sure, but still, I honestly believe this should not be reserved for as a host of a podcast. It should be just 4 channels, 4 preamps on the back, and that's it. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't see any reason why a host would need to be that much louder than everybody else, or to come across as louder than anybody else, because so that's my other con. It's another con was the PC software. It does not work with older versions of Windows 10. So I don't know about Mac. I'm not a Mac person, so I am running a very old version of Windows 10. It's still Windows 10. It's from a few years ago, because it was a good solid update. It was a good solid version, and I don't like updates because they always mess up my stuff. All my programs work fine, so I never updated. But the software to run this, the software to configure the buttons and so forth, it does not work on older versions of Windows 10. Which kind of sucks, because I was hoping to not only use this for a podcast that I was doing, but I wanted to use it for my audio business, so I could do other people's podcasts, I could record other people's podcasts, and I thought I could also use it as an audio interface. So on the back I can plug in 2 speakers, and I could have just used it as my main audio interface, which would have been pretty cool. But I can't do that because it doesn't accept The older version of Windows does not recognize this device from the USB output, and the drivers do not install to run the damn thing. So, yeah, not happy about that. So I'm looking at this as more of a expensive paperweight. There are pros to it. I mean, these buttons here, these soft buttons, are really nice to press. Oh, they light up and stuff. Very cool, very cool, very cool. You've got a fader for all of those sound effects. You've got a Bluetooth connection, which is really cool. So if you've got a phone, you can just Bluetooth to that and play some music, or you can do phone calls as well. Quality of the phone calls under Bluetooth is terrible, is garbage. It does have a 3.5mm TRRS connection at the back, so you can grab a TRRS cable and plug in your phone if you've got a headphone jack, and that would give you much better quality phone calls if you have someone in there. Obviously you've got the USB, but you know, older version of Windows 10 does not work. Actually, any older version of Windows, you know, ain't gonna work. And so, then you've got your 4 input channels here. I mean, it's pretty good. It's very solid construction, mostly metal. Doesn't really feel like metal, actually. That's plastic. Interesting. Huh? Didn't really think about that. See, every review that I saw online said that, on YouTube, sorry, is saying it was like an all metal construction, but that does not. I'm not sure if the top is metal. Anyway, whatever. Sort of metal fader things. Are they metal? I'm not even sure they're metal. They kind of feel like metal, and they're pretty good, pretty good. Well, that's, yeah, pretty much the pros of it. I mean, if you are doing like, I would probably not recommend something like this at all to anybody, based off of the few cons. I mean, look, not that many cons, but still, I mean, I bought this as an audio engineer so I could record a podcast that I was doing much easier, I should say, instead of having to cable up mics down the hallway and all that kind of stuff. I also bought it so I could do other people's podcasts. So I could hire out my services as a person who will record your podcast. Simple. But, you know, with this channel is host and it ducks these other channels kind of thing, you know, I do not feel confident in taking this out to a customer and saying, I can record your podcast. Because, you know, to me, all of these should be just input channels. That's all they should be. There should not be any extra processing. Like, even if I've turned off ducking, so I don't know why it's still happening. Yeah, I just do not feel confident anymore that I could take this out to a customer and say, I will record your podcast and it's going to be a good quality recording, based off of this ducking issue. So that's a downer for me as an audio engineer, freelancing audio engineer. I wouldn't recommend it if you're an audio engineer wanting to get work. And so it might be good for anybody out there who's not so tech savvy, or who's not, you know, audio engineer or freelancing audio engineer or anything like that. So someone who is just doing a podcast, someone who wants to record a podcast and that's it. You know, this might be beneficial for you because it records to an SD card at the back. Also can record out via USB Type-C connection. So this way you could record straight onto the card, and then you could theoretically just upload the files upload the files from the SD card. So that'll be alright if you just wanted a quick, you know, yes, you've got your people plugged in, you hit record, and bam, look at that, it's recording. You know, super easy to do. You record again to stop it, and it's done. It's perfect, it's perfect. I mean, it does have a lot of good features, like it's got a high pass filter and a noise gate and de-esser, some compression and stuff too. It seems to have that for each channel, which is cool. So it's got some good features, but overall I would say that's a no from me. You know, So I think, you know, for the $709 that I paid for it, plus shipping, you know, I could have bought something else such as Scarlett 8920, which would have had 8 mic preamps instead of 4, and there would be no ducking or anything. It would simply be a multi-track recording straight from the device to Pro Tools. So yeah, if you're thinking about getting this, get something else.